Hello there. Welcome back to coverage of the Community Super League. Marshall Sutcliffe, and I am with Director of R&D at Wizards of the Coast, Aaron Forsyth. Aaron, welcome. How goes, buddy?
Good. I'm coming to you from beautiful downtown Los Angeles, California.
Oh, I see the behind you. I see the skyscrapers. Looks nice.
Yep.
I'll be joining you down there tomorrow. You're down for the GP, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I'm actually having some meetings in advance of the GP. I'm not going to get to stick around all weekend, so here early.
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, maybe
Unfortunately, family commitments are keeping me from hanging out.
understandable. All right. So we've had some insane matches. For those of you that are live on the stream and have been watching along, these have been pretty crazy. There have been some mill wins here. We saw Kenji. I still can't believe he hit Exacxies with that Gear for Aether Grid. And
Oh yeah.
hopefully this will continue. So our match this round is the Professor from Tulare Community College. His brewmaster choice was Startled Awake. Aaron, let's take a look at the Professor's deck list. He's got a spicy one here. You see, well, there's a few things that jump off the screen, Aaron. First, there's no sideboard at all. So the
Right. He's very
Professor is
confident in his main deck plans.
he is committed to the bit. And then if you look, it looks like he's on mono blue here as he's just playing only islands and also only 22 of them. His card was Startled Awake. You can see it down there in the sorcery pile. What do you make of this list?
Well, it's another Sphinx's tutelage deck, which we just saw last round.
Mm.
This one's mono blue, and it is all in on the mill plan. It has both the traditional milling cards, and then it also has a kind of investigate sub theme, which it also then tries to turn into milling with Trail of Evidence and Fleeting Memories.
Mm.
And it is a little light on land, considering that Startled Awake takes 5 mana to get back out of your graveyard. With only 22 islands, the chances of him getting there on turn 5 are a little low. I actually played a few games with this deck earlier today, and it can win. I won a game with it, milling people out, but it doesn't respond well to pressure. I can tell you that much, and it does feel a little light on lands.
Yeah, you can see that there's 4 Clutch of Currents and 4 Press for Answers, but I'm not seeing too many other ways to interact with the opponent's creatures outside of, an Erdwall Illuminator or a Manic Scribe, to maybe block something small.
Yeah,
So,
I was surprised not to see the encroach the shoreline,
mm,
or maybe some thing in the ices or something to help stave off attacks. But we'll see if Paul comes out quickly, the prof's going to be fighting to get anything
he's
done
dead.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
if Paul has a quick start, I don't think Professor's going to be able to come back. Let's take a look at Paul Cheon's deck. So we drafted these cards. He drafted Zada Hedron Grinder, and Paul really outdid himself this week. Life on the grind from Paul Cheon, and this thing's pretty sweet, Aaron.
Right. He's got a buffet of combat tricks there to choose from.
He does.
If we focus in on the cards he chose to play 4 copies of, we can see what this deck's up to. Most notably, Zada Hedron Grinder, his key card, which copies any instant or sorcery that he plays on it to all of his other creatures. And then the Silver Fur Partisan, which is a 2/2 wolf that anytime one of your wolves becomes the target of an instant or sorcery, you get to make a 2/2 wolf token. So in combination, considering most of his other creatures are werewolves or wolves, the partisan actually also works on werewolves. He'll get to every time he hits Zada with one of his spells and copies it to all of his wolves, he gets to make a whole bigger, double the size of number of wolves that he has.
Yes,
Which is
his
very
pack will
explosive.
grow. Yeah,
Any of these spells that he casts will double the number of creatures he has in play.
yeah, I love that he went for the one of all of the combat tricks. It's like you never quite know which one to play around, and with him, you definitely don't know. The truth of the matter is, with the matchup that he got, though, it's not going to be, he's not really going to get much off of that, but still pretty cool. And then I got to point this out. You and I were having an email conversation about these decks earlier, Aaron, and I'm like, what is going on with his sideboard?
Yeah.
Like, I can't figure out what the deal is, and I realize it's because it's in text form. If you had shown me the pictures, I think I would have picked it up. But explain what's going on with the board.
So his sideboard contains 1 copy of each of the cards from the intro video for this web series that we're doing here. So each, Marshall had his face photoshopped onto the Stoic Builder. So there's the Stoic Builder. Paul himself is Audric Lunarch Marshall in our intro
Yep.
video. So that's there, and there's all of our cards there. So plus a few lands to be able to cast the ones that that his main deck can't support. I'm
Should
guessing
we assume that he's bringing in the one for the person he's playing against?
that seems to be the joke he could pull off here, which would be
Yeah,
Malevolent Whispers for the
for
prof
the
there.
prof.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so looking at the decks, it's our inclination, right, as relatively spiky players to just to build down the matchup. And I figure let's just go with it, right? It's who we are, Aaron. We can't be anybody else. So who do you think is going to win the match, and how do you think the matchup's going to play out?
I think Paul will win likely very easily between his plethora of 2 mana creatures, which are going to come out quickly, and then his combat tricks to bust through the very meager defenses that the Prof's deck with his O3s and O2 blockers is going to be able to put up. I don't think Prof's going to have time to cast all of his spells, because if Paul gets one big turn off, trick doubling his wolves or copying everything with Zada, it's just going to blow the Prof away.
Yeah, the professor doesn't actually have the ability to come back, right? Like if Paul makes a very wide, a bunch of 2/2s and a bunch of 3/3s, that's kind of it. The professor's just going to have to just take a bunch of damage, and he doesn't have the long term game plan. Now,
Right, and most notably, Prof's ways to interact with creatures, his Clutch of Currents and the
press for
one that makes a
answers.
clue, Press for Answers, are both sorceries, which means he can't kind of stop Paul from using his combat tricks effectively.
Oh, yeah.
Any of that stuff.
All right. Well, you know what? The players are ready. Let's head down for the next round here from the Community Super League. Hello and welcome to coverage of the Community Super League. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. I'm with Aaron Forsyth, and we've got, well, it could be a bloodbath. Maybe the professor proves us wrong. We've got Paul Cheon playing his Life on the Grind deck. This is a Zada Hedron Grinder deck. It also uses Silver for Partisan, as well as a bunch of combat tricks to try to go off and make a bunch of wolves and get a bunch of value. Now on the bottom, you'll see the professor who's playing his Taking a Test You Did Not Study For in Your Underwear deck, which is he's playing Startled Awake as his Brewmaster card, or his build around card. So basically, he's trying to mill out Paul before Paul can deal critical amounts of damage here. So we're going to see. Well, let's get going here. It looks like Paul Cheon has won the die roll, and he's got a keeper, though he doesn't have a 2-drop yet, Aaron. It's just got the partisan.
He's only got one creature and a bunch of tricks, so this is the slow start that the prof could potentially capitalize on.
All right, let's see what Professor comes up with. Nothing for Cheon in the early stages. And actually, Professor's hand looks pretty good. He's got an Erdwall Illuminator. He's got a Clutch of Currents to keep that first threat off the battlefield.
And more importantly, he now has 3 land, which is kind of the critical number his deck needs to get working.
Yeah, Professor skimped a little bit on lands. He's only playing 22. You'd think 24, 25 would be, sort of average for this type of deck. But like you said, if he can get up to 3, then he can start moving things forward. And then 5 is sort of the next stopping point for the Professor as far as lands go.
Right, he has a lot of things, confirmed suspicions, the bringing back his namesake card out of the graveyard, and Clutch of Currents that all can use 5 mana. So I would have played a couple more lands, but we'll see.
All right, so here we go.
See if his spell density brings it home for him.
Cheon said, please don't kill it. He's begging the professor. Remember, the players have not seen each other's deck lists. Paul has no idea that the professor's mono blue here. And this isn't going to work out beautifully for him. As you can see, the partisan is good. Well, Paul's saying no, but he's jumping the gun a little, because as you can see, this Silver for Partisan doesn't only work when you target it like Zada does. It also works when it gets targeted. So he's just going to immediately generate a free wolf token off of this. Then he's going to be able to replay the Partisan and keep up Titan strength, and he can then generate another wolf. Even if Professor goes for that other Clutch of Currents. So even though you'd think that would be a pretty good start for the Professor, I think Paul's still just going to be able to get ahead of this.
And this works on any wolf. So even if the prof decides he's going to try to bounce the tokens, that's just going to generate another token. So the Silver for Partisan is just excellent against the cards that the prof is trying to use to stop the damage.
Now, in the meantime, Professor did manage to find another Erdwall Illuminator. So he has sufficiently gummed up the board. Is he going to go for the double block? No, he's going to hedge a little bit here and go for the single block. So the Titan strength is enough to generate another wolf and get that wolf over the Illuminator. And you can see the problem that Professor faces here is that as this board gets bigger and bigger, he doesn't have a way to just draw a card and say, okay, let's just undo all of that and start over again. It's just going to stay this way. He can maybe pick off one creature here or there, but this is going to be tough. You mentioned it in our pre-show also, Aaron, that the partisan gives that ability to the other wolves. So, like, if Professor plays Clutch of Currents, it's just an immediately replaced wolf in any scenario here.
Right, and it just shows. I think the partisan's actually the more key part of Paul's deck even than Zada, because it just by itself can start creating an army of creatures. Whereas Zada kind of needs an army of creatures in order to work well. The partisan gets the party started all by itself.
Indeed. Yeah, well, it looks like Professor's going to settle for just basically cycling away the clutch. Oh, he's actually going to go for a little bit of a tempo hit here too. Unfortunately, of course, another wolf hits the battlefield for him. And this is going to get ugly here. Professor at the moment has no castable spells in his hand. He's down to 3 mana here after tapping that 1.
Yeah, Paul a little stuck on green mana, so he can't play his partisan and then use a trick to generate another wolf. But that's okay. This 1/3 is not going to get it done.
No, I think he's fine with just getting in for 4 damage here, replaying the partisan. It is interesting, though, from Paul's perspective, if I saw the Professor with 3 cards in hand, just use 1 mana and leave up 3, I would be thinking, this is a mono blue deck maybe. It looks like it's mono blue so far. I would certainly be considering the fact that he could have a counterspell in hand. Be curious to see if Paul, hedges away from that and what he wants to do. Nah, he's just running it out there. No fear.
Yeah, I can imagine him thinking I have enough to win without risking anything here, but why not? He wants his deck to work.
Yeah, get it. Totally. Like you said, he's a little bit stumbled on mana with just the 1 forest, but yeah, I mean, this is just a situation that Professor's going to have a really hard time coming back from. So I think this is... he's deciding what he wants to do here, it looks like. I think it's Talent of the Yeah, I think he's just going to Talent of the Telepath here, or maybe leave up Confirmed Suspicions. Those are his 2 options.
Well, the Talent's going to mill 7, but all it's going to find him is a combat trick. There's not going to be any lightning bolts or anything like that can clean this board up.
So he decides wisely just to pass the turn with his counter spell up. In the meantime, Cheon, and again, you got to feel for Professor. This is a terrible matchup for him because these cards that Cheon have, they don't care if the spell resolves, right? It's just a targeting thing.
Right. Once the partisan's out, I mean, it'll be nice for him to use the trick to bust through the Illuminator, but if he doesn't, he still gets a wolf out of it.
Yeah, he's just going to keep generating these wolves as it goes wider and wider. So we're going to see Professor counter brute strength here and get himself 3 clues, which, you'd think would give him some hope just to be able to start drawing some cards and getting some forward momentum going. But again, it's just every interaction that he's had, it results with Paul saying, okay, and I get a wolf. Okay, and I get a wolf. And so, Paul, as you see, he's now got 4 additional wolves, and here goes a Confront the Unknown as well.
Confront the Unknown is like the coolest card to use with Zada. It generates a clue for each creature that you have, and then each giant growth effect is incremented 1 more for as each clue is generated. But he doesn't need Zada here. He's just overwhelming him with wolves.
Yeah, I think that the Professor is going to have to either crack a clue and hope to find a creature, or let's see, he's dead to that anyway. Yeah, I think the Professor's kind of dead here, Aaron. All right, well, he's going to make the smart play, Talent of the Telepath, and that's going to let him get a better idea of what's going on in Paul Cheon's deck, and then he can concede. I mean, that's just how it goes, right? You see this all the time. You want to try to get at least the most information that you possibly can, even if you know that this game is in the books.
He does have Zada in his deck. There it is. Confirmed.
Yeah, the one thing that Professor knew. So just to recap, the players drafted the card that they were going to build around. This was public. Everybody knew. Everybody in the league knows which card each player has. But they don't get to see the deck list beforehand. So you can take it any number of directions, and so Professor's sort of gaining some knowledge there, and he's going to go out by drawing a card too. I can respect that.
Silver Fur Partisan, does double duty. I think when people first read it, they think it's here to help my wolves survive getting killed by removal spells.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also an awesome build-around card, as we can see here. Like that was the only creature he
What
played.
is Paul doing? Is he playing with his food? He just attacked for 6.
Yes,
he could have attacked for 12. He attacked for 6.
He's he's playing for camera time.
Now hold on a minute. Is he reversing it? Is he saying, I want to see more of what you're doing because I know I can't lose from here?
Right. He actually has a sideboard, so this information is actually valuable to him.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. Fleeting Memories is the play for the Professor, who's been gifted an additional turn here. Is Paul going to finish him off?
I have to imagine so.
Or
he has to be a little worried that if he gives this deck too much time, suddenly, some sort of Sphinx's Tutelage card drawing spell mill your whole deck when you weren't looking.
Yeah, we saw
disaster could happen, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, Silver Fur Partisan. A wolf. Are you just showing off, Paul Cheon? Wow, he's not attacking.
Oh my gosh.
What is
hoping to draw Zada?
Does he have? Maybe he. Some of us have put self-imposed rules. And maybe he's got one.
Maybe I'm trying to determine what that would be. Not win without Zada in play.
Yeah, that's I think the only thing that I can think of.
All right, well, the strategy discussion is out the window once we're at the I'm choosing not to gameplay portion of the program.
Commentators get to sit back a little, enjoy the view. Because there's nothing relevant to talk about anymore.
All right, here we go. Okay. Just Timberpack Wolf. Buffed up by the other Timberpack Wolf.
All right. This is the one he's chosen.
Prof. Bluffing him here.
Yeah, he's just going to tap, concede, it looks like. All right, so Paul does eventually finish him off. And, honestly, it kind of went how we thought it would. If you look on the Professor side, you'll see no sideboard. He's going to kind of browse his list one more time, but he didn't prepare a sideboard.
There's the Professor coming in there.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
And he's bringing in Wedge as well.
All right, very good. He's going to bring in Wedge, and I'm assuming. Remember, these ones are actually quite easy for him. Is he bringing in everybody?
He's bringing in the girlfriend.
Oh, he's bringing in everybody. We're all in. He brought in his whole board and just hit submit. He didn't even take any cards out. Paul Cheon is playing the entire Community Super League against the Professor now. How is he supposed to beat this?
Well, it does give him a 75-card deck against the mill strategy.
It totally does. Wow. So Paul getting the flavor 2-for-1, a strategic move that also has the entire Community Super League pitted against the Professor. Great stuff.
Wow.
From Cheon.
Can actually claim that it was all part of the plan.
This is great. God, I hope I'm the one that does lethal. Oh no, he's got him all again. He's not sneeping this. You know what sneeping is, Aaron?
No.
It's snap keep.
Okay, that's what I assumed it was.
Yeah. It's pretty terrible. Though I think he may be serious. Is he keeping this?
Yeah, yes. Paul sided in all these nonsense off-color cards and didn't draw any of them. That sounds like a snap keep to me.
Yeah, I agree. It's actually a pretty good hand too. He's got Duskwatch Recruiter, and then he has got to take a turn off currently, but then he's got a Zada and a combat trick in hand. So that right there could be a ton of damage.
Right, the Duskwatch Recruiter again, a one-card army in a can that the professor can't reasonably interact with.
All right, well, it looks like the professor is hitting his third land drop next turn right on time, which is that's fortunate. That's a good thing. That means that he gets to start. You can see his hand. He's already got a couple of 3-mana enchantments to play there. All right, but Duskwatch Recruiter, you said it. 1-card Wrecking Crew. That could be a problem.
Prof opts not to play the tutelage there. Instead, going with the Investigate enchantment.
What is that called? Trail of Mysteries?
Trail of Evidence.
Trail of Evidence. Thank you. That is a card you don't see on the battlefield very often.
Can we get a big view of Trail of Evidence?
There it is.
Now he can turn those clues into more milling with this Sphinx's tutelage, is his plan. All right, Paul has the Professor's card in his hand for maximum rub-ins. Ding.
This communication, this text edit communication from Paul just trolling us is getting pretty good. All right, so this is it. We get to see Zada Hedron Grinder for Paul Cheon.
Right, and now the Prof's card, I believe, actually can...
His Startled Awake?
No, the threatened variant there that Paul has.
The Malevolent Whispers. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I thought you meant Prof's actual card, but you mean the one that his likeness is on.
Right.
Gotcha. Do you think he's so? What about it? What do you think's going on with it?
He can target Zada and give his whole team +2/+0 with it.
Very nice. He's also got the brute strength there too. In fact, he even may be able to mad profit out madness value on that Malevolent Whispers. The question is really just, is the professor going to be alive by the time that happens?
The Duskwatch Recruiter has flipped, so the creatures all cost 1 less to cast now, so we can play
Crawling Horde Howler doing work. Yeah.
And the Mad Prophet. Triple Investigate, though.
Okay. He actually gets an additional clue as well from the Trail of Evidence, so he's working it up. And yeah, there's the Mad Prophet. He's going to loot away this rummage away this Evolving Wilds. He just finds another land.
I don't know that the Prof's going to have time to look into all of these clues.
Cheon once again shows mercy, decides not to attack. His Howler is going to transform back here on Prof's upkeep, but it looks like Cheon's the curious type. Also, I have a feeling he's going for a big finish here.
Right. So far in the match, Zada has done nothing. He wants to show it off, and I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either. All right, here's Startled Awake. So that's
Mill a bunch of cards.
Yeah, mill a bunch of your cards, and then it has a conditional, expensive, tricky way to recur, but it does give you inevitability if you're able to, fully stabilize a game. There's another copy of Zada. That's not going to do any good for Paul. Zada, she is legendary.
So we'll see if he goes for the Malevolent Whispers kill here. Will get to untap his Mad Prophet.
He did not?
No, he did not.
He drew a down Gossip Monger, though. And once again, Paul Cheon playing with his food, declining to attack. I can't wait to see what he's got lined up for us, because Paul.
What is he hoping for if using the Prof's own card to deal the final points of damage with Zada was not the finish he wanted? What is he hoping for?
No kidding. I mean, I think I know what he's doing. I think he's waiting for Stoic Builder, personally.
He will have a land card in his graveyard.
All right, Professor's found a creature. But wait, there's more. He's got a Sphinx's tutelage, which he actually didn't play. He cracked a clue there. But, the Sphinx's tutelage plus Jace is a nice little engine.
Right, we
Falls
saw that
down
last
to
match.
36 cards in his library, so he's still pretty fine. And we see Zada Hedron Grinder get Clutch of Currents right back to Paul Cheon's hand. Uh-oh, Uncaged Fury? That could get scary if Paul wants to put Zada down again and try to set up for that. That's pretty nasty.
His finishing move has been disrupted. It's going to take him a couple turns to set back up.
He's saying ding. Oh, Paul Cheon. Life on the grind indeed. I think that's probably what the professor's thinking right now.
Rip LRR. He wants to rip...
No, he's putting them in the graveyard.
Oh, RIP. Okay.
Yeah. RIP, loading ready run. They're the town gossip monger,
the...
I guess. That must have been what he's... So he's throwing them in the graveyard. Rest in peace, he says.
Okay, got it.
And then he's going to follow up with Zada Hedron Grinder.
Do you have any self-imposed rules?
I do.
Okay.
When I beat you with damage, I have to have a Hedron alignment on the battlefield.
When you beat me with damage?
Yeah, turn 1 town gossip monger. Turn 2 Thalia's lieutenant. Look, man, I learned my lesson last week.
Right.
I know what's up.
Reflector mage.
Yes, Reflector Mage is a fine turn 3, but I'm not able to kill you unless I have the Hedron alignment. I figure that's about the same thing as actually going off with Hedron alignment.
Okay. I'm sure the fans will appreciate it.
They like the Elk deck.
The Elk deck was a fine piece of artwork, yes.
It showed commitment. That was the first time I've ever traded for basic lands on Magic Online, I'll tell you that.
You wanted the elk. Was it island or forest? Which one was it?
Forest. I actually got the forest and the plains. There's an elk drinking water on the forest from Avacyn Restored, and then the one from Mirage has elk-like animals around like an oasis or a pool of water, and it's close enough.
I see. I thought those were zebras or something. Okay.
Well, there's 3 different ones. There's 3 different ones. So, get your facts straight, Aaron. You don't want to jump to the wrong animal conclusion.
Right. It could be those African elk that we all know and love.
I know. I did say elk-like, by the way.
Right.
All right. So
all right.
Zada
Now
Commando, I like that. That's some flavor.
It says Zada on it.
Yeah. Oh, man.
All right. Well, we'll see if
Paul
insists on assembling the maximum possible amount of nonsense. He has the partisan now.
No, he's going for the commando and the partisan. Yeah. No, I think Paul wants to do like 100 damage here or something.
Right.
Wow, the partisan plus the Zada, that is gross.
Now he just needs his expedite.
You can see the tutelage is doing work. Paul's down to 18 cards in library here. The sad part about the professor was that he had to transform his Jace there. He actually didn't want to. I think it's better for him to just like play the tutelage and draw, multiple cards per turn instead. Here's Startled Awake. Paul's on 5 cards left in his library right now. Is that wow? And the professor has another Startled Awake in his hand, but only 3 mana.
Right. Paul
He could have killed him.
Paul did nothing for enough turns that
that he's actually opened the
dangerous for him.
door
Yeah.
for the professor to kill him. The professor's going to get him down to, he's going to crack a clue and crack another. Is Paul going to be on exactly 0 cards when he wins this game?
And I don't think the professor can play another land.
He can't play a land. All right, so Paul's going to be on 2 cards, and then he can decide if he'd like to lose or win the game. He's had this decision for multiple turns, but...
Give your guy -2, -0.
Wow, and not just your guy. That was Zada. That was a direct slap.
He should take that as a personal affront. Yes,
I agree, and maybe attack. Just throwing that out there. All right, the chat's ready, Paul. They're ready. We're all ready.
There you are. You drew you. There you are.
There it is. Yes, it's me. Give me haste. Do something.
Kindled fury, uncaged fury, all sorts of fury to be unleashed here.
He's gonna do 1 damage with Zada's commando here.
He has to use the malevolent whispers to untap everybody.
So he may as well do it for value.
Right.
Yet he didn't madness it, so that's
right.
Pretty loose.
Right, the mad
Look at this.
Also untapped. Right, here's the whole thing on display.
Don't concede, Professor. We've waited a long time for this.
So the wolves do not get the benefit of the copies of the spell.
No.
Because they resolve
How mean
first.
is this? Professor has to look at his likeness just 10 times, staring him in the face in big stack size.
And of all the people in the Community Super League, I think he might be the only one that's a targeted spell that Zada can actually
I think you're right.
Copy enough times, and he got this matchup.
Cheon refusing to right-click attack all. In fact, refusing to attack with anything other than exactly what he needs. No, he's left him at 1, and he's going to pay Zada for a finish. Paul Cheon.
Zada and his commando. Commando.
What a big style points from Cheon there. I don't know if I love keeping it around that long and getting down to 2 cards left in my library, but
I do appreciate wanting to use Zada. He could have done it a couple of turns earlier and ended this all.
I mean, I really appreciate him waiting for me to show up. You know,
you did it.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I feel like I helped. So that brings us to the conclusion of our 3rd match of the night. We saw, is it this again? Right side of the bracket, winning everything.
Oh dear, I don't like the looks of that.
You scared? That doesn't look good. Paul Cheon wins his round. We saw Magic the Amateuring with Stop, a Hammer at Time win, and Dear Diary from Kenji with a crazy one. Getting exactly lethal with Gear per Aether Grid of all things against Loading Ready Run. And next up, we've got Wedge playing Copy Pasta.
His Clone Legion deck.
Yeah, and he's playing against Gabby, who's playing And I Cannot Lie. And I like that reference.
It's our Assault Formation deck, so I'm curious as to what the reference is for there.
I don't know.
We'll have to see.
Dude, you're old enough to know this reference.
Am I?
Yeah. The rapper that sings that song is actually from Seattle, where you live now, too.
What's that?
The rapper who sings the song that
of course. Okay, I get it now. I was thinking like George Washington or something. I'm like, I'm not that old.
No, I put you firmly in mind. So yeah, that's it.
Got it.
2 more rounds
Big
though.
Butts.
There you go. You did it. We've got 2 more rounds to cover. Again, it's going to be Wedge and Gabby, and then in the last round, me and you, buddy, we're going to be battling it out.
That's right.
And I picked Hedron alignment, and you are on the Great Aurora. That's right.
Making Aurora great again. That's right.
All right. Well, yeah. So, are we good? All right. So we're good. So we'll be back in just a few minutes with round 4 here from the Community Super League.
Fun
We'll see you
stuff.
Whether riding the bus or waiting for the